Right now I'm in the geometry level. I'll bring a box, usual, and for attribute, if you click in the middle of the box, you can see point, primitive, vertices, polygon, and you can also see point address. In the previous video, I avoided explaining about this because I wanted to introduce it now. Right now is the right time to study that. Okay, so you can see point ATTRS. So ATTRS is a short form for attribute. So there is a point attribute P 3 float pose. All right, so P, you can guess that it's position. So P is actually a short form or a code language inbuilt one, is an inbuilt attribute for position P. So there is 3 float. I'll explain what is that. So to do that, I'll bring another node which is called color. So it's there in the material color. All right, so color is just like the name itself. It helps you to give a color. So it is straightforward. You can choose whatever color you want, and up here the familiar nodes, group and group type, where you can bring the previous group if you have any, or you can select manually and get the primitive usual one. And here you can see delete all existing color attribute. Now you must be seeing like, oh, there is a color attribute. Now let's come back here and middle mouse it. Oh, you can see here right now this is 2 points and we have CD. Right now there is a CD. Of course you can, come on, you can guess it. CD is color. It is not a rocket science or something, but straightforward. But you can see now a new attribute has come. Before it was P position, now CD, and both has 3 and FLT. This 3 FLT is nothing but it's a data type. If you have any computer background in your high school, and yeah, this is not first grade math. Okay, first grade math is over right now. At least you are in the 10th grade right now. Okay, so these 4 are the data types. It can be integer. So integer is nothing. If you're not familiar with integer, I'll tell you. Integer is numbers which represent 1, 2, 3, etc, 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 up to 1,000 or 10,000, 4 million, whatever. Okay, so that is integer. So integer doesn't have decimal, which is float. So float is which has decimal, like 0.1. If there is a point, decimal is point, so 0.101 or whatever, 30.1. so if you have a decimal point, then it is a float, right? So then what is string? String is name. It can be my name, your name, or directory. If you have a directory like C drive, computer, Windows, so that is a directory, right? So that is a string. Okay, so and the last one we have is vector. I don't think vector, you will be familiar with vector, any 10th grade people. Vector is, I don't know if it is in the other coding language, but here in Houdini, vector is, so that is vector. So XYZ, you see here XYZ and RGB. You know that XYZ means it's a 3D. It's a 3D. It has 3 axis. Vector is a 3D. Okay, so that is why. And the RGB is for color. I guess you must be familiar. If not, if you want to print out, you must be seeing like RGB and CMYK. There are color code. Okay, these two are the color code, but Houdini has RGB color code. It doesn't take CMYK. Okay, so RGB is color code. So mixing all of this R and G and B, you get a lot of colors. That's the whole point of RGB: red, green and blue. Now you must be a little bit okay with these now. CD is now, you know, it is RGB, so that is why here it is 3, okay, vector 3, and here you can see 3, and that is, of course, since it is a P has axis, right? P is position, and position in this 3D, and this is a 3D, so it has XYZ position, so it is 3, so vector 3, which is X, Y, Z, so that is 3. And if it is a 2D, it probably show it's a 2 vector, but we know this box is in 3D space, so it has 3 spaces, X, Y, Z, and of course it's the same here, 3, you can see 3 here, and which is of course RGB, red, blue and green, and the values also you can see here, color, this is RGB, and you can see there is a dot, you see here there is a dot, 0 in the red, 0 in the green, and 0.5 for the blue, gave the color blue, okay, because there is no red, there is no green, and there's only half of a blue, right? That is why we got the blue. How RGB is float? 0.0, so decimal, it has a decimal, and position is also float, because you know, right, when you move, you can move not only from 1 to 2. When you are moving, of course there will be like 1.01 and blah 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 1.9, and then only it goes to 2, right? So that is why position is float, because position always have decimal point. Okay, so I'll explain how RGB is float. I'll show you how. Okay, so if you change any color, so I'll pull the palette somewhere here, and you name it any color, I click any color, you can see there will be decimal. Okay, so if you check any color, you can see decimal. It never go 1 2 3 4 5, it only goes 0 to 1. So if you notice that, like any color you name it, you won't be able to see 2 or 3 or 4 or something. It will be always like 0 to 1 value. Keep that in your mind. RGB is a float, and it won't go beyond 1. So middle mouse and this node inform is just a summary of your node. And if you want to go deep dive into CD and P, all this primitive vertex polygon, then you need to go up here. So up here, geometry spreadsheet. It is a spreadsheet. It's like it is the full version of that node information. Like when you click here, you can see how many ever points are there. So if you come here, you can see node color 1. So I'm in the node color 1. See, node color 1, and this is points, vertices, primitives, and details. Okay, so all the detail about 8 points, 6 primitive, 24 vertices are listed here, and you won't get the polygon because we have primitive, right? Then why do we need a polygon? Right, so point, we know that there are 8 points, so 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So like I said, Houdini start with 0, and we counted 0 as 1, so there are 8, and it tells the position of all the points. This is basically the exact position of your points, each points. Okay, and each points has color. How do I know there is a color? Because see, the class is point, the color is spread on the point. Okay, so since the class is point and every point has a color, so that's why you can see here, and look at the value also. So look at here, CDRGB, color RGB are the same values, and since the class is point, See, in the geometry spreadsheet point, all these CD attributes are there, and if you go to the primitive, there won't be nothing, because here also you can see there is no attributes in the primitive or on the vertices. So in the vertices also there is nothing but the point number. Of course, point number is always there, and primitive number. So see, primitive number, point number. So one has, so see, one has one vertices, two vertices, three vertices. So one has, see, if you can come up here, so one has three vertices, even two has three vertices. Every point number has three vertices. Of course, see, all the corners with three vertices, and point, all of this. So if you change the class to primitive, then see, in the point attribute, CD is gone. Now if you click here in the primitive attribute, you can see that. So whatever you do, even if your screen doesn't show you, there are chances sometimes viewport bug happening. So but if there is a viewport bug, no issues, you go to the geometry, it will always give you the exact what is happening. So even if you bring a new attribute or whatever, it will be here. All right, so now we will continue about attribute create where we left. Okay, so what is attribute? You can see the very first, you can see attribute, and of course you will be like, don't faint, or don't get headache. There's a lot of attribute node like blur, copy, create, paint, promote. There's a lot of, and we will be using a lot of attribute tools in the coming classes. So don't get scared for now. The first one I'm going to teach you is attribute create. That's a good start, which means that you are creating an attribute by yourself. So what is that? Let's see. You click there. Of course, it has only one required input, and it has only one input in the above and the below. So you click that. So as soon as you click that as a default, and one more thing, in the color type you can see a lot of others, but right now you stick with constant, and I'll change the class type to default. So how do I know this is default and this is not? It just by observing. See, it is now a little bold, the type is little bold, and if see, this one is not bold. So not bold means that I did not change any value. So if I change it, then okay, now I know this is not a default one, because this has thickness. So I'll keep everything default. Right, so here you can see two attribute in the points, right? But when I come here and middle mouse click it, you can see there's a new attribute. Oh my god, what is it called? Attribute 1. What is that? How? So that is here. So the parameter, if you click in the parameters, and you, of course, I told you, right, 90% of your node will have group and group type. So again, if you have created any group in the previous node, it will be right here. Right now there is nothing. Or you can select primitive or point numbers and make that as a group. In this case, we are not using any of this group method, but here, yes. So there is number of attribute. Right now I'm just creating only one attribute just to show you what it is. So here you can say, you can give a name. So we are in the attribute create, so it's like you are creating your own attribute, right? So you give it a name. So as you know that P and CD is our inbuilt attribute names in Houdini. There are a bunch of inbuilt attribute. I'll tell you where you can find the list of inbuilt attributes, and but here right now we are creating our own attribute. It's like you are giving this box a superpower, or creating or customizing a super attribute for your thing. Shake it and keep it aside, okay, because I want to show you CD is a inbuilt one. So I want to show you that. So like if I click there and I said CD, okay, is an attribute CD and it is in the point, so suddenly you can see the color change to I'll remove all of this, color change to black. And how the hell that happened, don't worry, it's because the value here, so here the value of this attribute CD is 0, and as you know, so I will plug the color again. As you know, 0 0 0, if the CD RGB is 0, it is black, and if RGB is 1, it is white. So black and white, 0 and 1. All right, so I click here, and so you can notice seeing that, okay, I changed the value to 0, but there is an error. What is the error? So if you middle mouse it, you can see, yes, it is CD, and there is P 3 float, but CD has 1 float. So this is like, right now it is seeing as RGB has 1. Okay, that's why you're getting the error called at least 3 value for a color. Okay, so RGB, so we need to give 1 2 at least 3, so but yeah, 3 value. So right now you can, if you middle mouse it, you can see 3. If you make it 2, will be 2. So this is the vector, like, is it RGB or XYZ, does it have, or is it a 3D or 2D, just like that. Okay, and this is 4D is time, so XYZ and time, so that is what fourth dimension means. So we said no, this is a 3D and it has RGB 000, so RGB, right? So let's see if this works. So we will put 1 in RGB, right? So blue, we'll put 1 in the blue. Let's see, and we will put in the green now. We'll put in the red now. Okay, it's this error came because, you know, right, because CD is a default one. So in this Houdini program, they told that this attribute capital C and D is a vector and it is a float. Okay, so it is already there, so that's why this error is coming. Okay, but if you are not giving it, if you are not using the inbuilt like D, it won't give you anything, right? So otherwise you can type in, I'll try think tricks. So if I type in think tricks, come on, nothing happens. There's no error showing. It says think tricks. There is an attribute called think tricks and it is a float, and here you can see a bracket saying pause, because it is inbuilt one, it recognized as position, but here there is no bracket, which means that it is not in the list of inbuilt Houdini attributes. So that's why it's not there. But so if you type V and middle mouse it, it'll say, okay, V float, right? But if I keep into 3 and middle mouse it, you can see, oh, bracket. Oh, so that means there is an inbuilt attribute called small letter V, and which is 3 vector and float. I keep it what E or something, and then when I click it, then it is just 3E float. There is no bracket coming. But when I said another inbuilt expression, which is called orient, okay, orient, and middle mouse it, you can see even that has a bracket. It says vec. And again, if I click W, don't type W, that's what I'm trying to say. So again, there is a bracket, so which means there is something inbuilt. And but if you make it capital one, then if you keep it capital, then that bracket is not there. And also and capital N, if you middle mouse it, then again you can see. So you have to be careful with the name, careful with the name. Don't get clash, or whenever you give a name, especially some alphabets, always click here and see if that exists. Okay, if that exists, then your effect will have a different type. So, but of course, if you say like hi, there won't be any attribute called hi in as an inbuilt, of course, right? So I'll tell you what happens. So I just showed you what does cd do. Okay, now I create another one. I'll type like try, and try is you can see, so if I keep it 3 and then I have to give 3 values, so what I'm after is 1. Okay, so now I said, so this is the attribute that I created, on attribute, my on, there is nothing there, and I said it is a point, like it has to affect what my attribute, the attribute that I'm creating has to affect on the point of the geo, so which is the points will be some here, right? Whatever I'm giving the value, it has to affect on the point. Okay, and float, so it is float, so that's okay. If you write float and you did not keep any like 0.0, that's okay. But if you are in the integer, if the type is integer, then you cannot keep point, it has to be 1 2 3. So leave this for now, and default is default, of course, so don't have to do anything with the default, you do with the value. So let's put a value for try, so I will put a value like 5. Okay, so I put the value 5. So we created an attribute called try, which is point attribute, float, and value is 5. And the next node I want to bring is PolyExtrude, and we know that PolyExtrude doesn't work on points, it works on face and edges, isn't it? So you go here, you change the class to primitive. This is where we are bringing this attribute, we are bringing the attribute to PolyExtrude. So so it has to be primitive because they only consume primitives, and if we keep it point, it won't recognize. So I keep it primitive and I give the value 5. Okay, so now the PolyExtrude, I explained about extrude. Okay, spine I'll ignore for now, and I will get into the local control. Okay, so local control, if I click, then you can see same thing. So here distance, insert, twist, and division, and here also you can see distance, insert, twisted. So you can trigger that on by clicking here, so you can scale it actually. So right now it has a attribute name called z scale. Okay, but we have our own try. Okay, our own attribute called try. So this is very important. So like whatever you type in here, like T, small letter, R, and Y, it has to be same exactly like that, try. Okay, so now you won't be seeing anything. In the middle mouse you can see, okay, try is a primitive attribute, and it is a one vector and position. Okay, so now you can't see anything, but if I keep it 0.1, boom, you see that increased it, isn't it? Of course, if I increase that, it also increases, right? But you can see that, like, I'm not viewing it from attribute create, I'm just taking the parameter, and of course scroll down, and the value, if I change the value here, it also changes here. So it is like a remote control. So whatever you put the value here, it's going to multiply with this value. So this try is 2, and so 0.1 into 2, so which is 0.2. As a first class on attribute and expression, this is more than enough, and we will do a project based on what we just learned. I hope you understood that it's just creating your own attribute. So the use of attribute is that you can bring that value or whatever you're creating here to any nodes. That's the use of attribute. So if you're going to create something simple in the SOP level with this 3 node and maybe one more node, that's it, and we will do our first good looking render. Thanks for watching. I hope you are not over consumed with the information. I believe I covered as simple as I can, and practice it. Okay, so take care. Bye.